Are we? Oh, now we are. All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name's Frank Czar. I'm with a company called Creative Control. I am an Amesbury resident. I've done a few things in town over the course of the years and worked closely with a lot of the business owners. The city was kind enough to ask me to speak on some of the things that my business has done and some of the things that I recommend to other businesses that can help them not just get through what is a difficult time with the COVID situation, but I think the bigger picture is these are technological changes that you can add to your business that whether there is a pandemic or not, it's going to open up access to your customers. It's going to make your business run better, um, and hopefully make it a more profitable venture. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my company. And so let's see if we can get over here. Great. So I started Creative Control back in 2002 with two partners and two employees and zero revenue. Um, we struggled and learned a lot as we took on businesses. We started initially as a business management company for other franchisees, where we would run their businesses for them at a what was a we would combine our resources and offer better services for their customers while the business owners got to step back from their day to day. By pre-COVID 2020, we had grown to 60 employees. We had 15 owned logistic franchises for a company called UniShippers. We're a franchisee. So we started as a management company. We ended up buying some franchises, buying out some clients, and the other half was internal growth from our own sales force. As of March, we had to pivot, just like a lot of other people, in how we ran our business, because we were in an office environment. It was clearly a dangerous time to be in an office environment. So in mid-March, we all went home and started working from home. And one of the things that...
Can you share your screen?
Oh, am I not?
No.
Oh, man, I'm so sorry. All that time I thought I was sharing. Here, let me give you this. There we go. I'm sorry. So, well, phooey. So, like I was saying, this is us back in 2002 with our 5 employees in our very small but very red office. And we were out in Beverly at the Cumming Center. And then this is us in December of last year. Really, this was our holiday party. And then, as I was saying, in March, we had to make a lot of changes. We sent everybody home. We cut a number of employees. So we probably, I think at the time, we probably had to cut 20 people, predominantly from sales. We didn't know what the future was going to bring, and that was an immediate cost center that we needed to curtail in order to, deal with the unknown. Since then, we've been lucky enough to have, turns out being in the shipping business was fortuitous during a pandemic, and we've been able to hire some of those people back and some more salespeople back, and so far the business is thriving. One of the things that has always made my business very successful, we're now one of the largest UniShippers franchise groups in the country, one of the 2 largest, actually. It depends on the week. And we, since the outset, have done things different than the rest of our franchise partners. We have constantly tried to use whatever technologies were available to provide better services to our customers and faster turnaround time. And in the logistics business, that's something that is fairly important. So a lot of the things that we've done, we use a lot of VoIP services. We use a lot of cloud services. And the combination of those things are what made it possible for us to flip the switch on our business back in March and send everybody home and keep operating in a way that was absolutely seamless to our customers. And so I wanted to talk about some of the things that we've done that may or may not apply to other people's businesses. One thing I'll say up front is that we're not a retail organization. So, we're going to have different solutions than what other businesses are going to need to do. But what we don't know is what's coming. So, already we've been warned that the fall and the winter may have more outbreaks. It's going to bring people inside. It's going to make it harder for restaurants to continue offering the outdoor seating and stuff like that. So I think there are a few things that are kind of universal to no matter what kind of business you're running that you can start using some of these tools to help you out. So one of the things is an attitude change. And if you're familiar with Spencer Johnson's Who Moved My Cheese book, it's almost the perfect example of where we are. And, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the book because it's like, $30 and 40 pages of something that could really just be said in 2 sentences. But the point of the book is that you've got 2 mice that are in a maze and they get cheese every day. And one day the cheese stops coming in. And one mouse decides to sit there and wait until the cheese comes back. And the other mouse decides that he should go looking for new cheese. So in this situation, there's a lot of people who are, through the summer have just waited for the cheese to come back. And as we come into the fall, I think some people are starting to realize that may not be happening and that they may need to go look for the new cheese. If you're not familiar with the story, it's worth a read. One of the most critical things that we changed in our business model was to switch our communications platform to a VoIP system. And a lot of people consider VoIP is the delivery method. It's voice over IP, which means that you're getting your communications through the internet instead of over a what is called a POTS line, a plain old telephone system. And even plain old telephones are now, really communicating over VoIP. But the method is not as important as what VoIP also allows you to do with your communications platforms. And what a lot of people, what I want people to really think about in terms of VoIP is more about rethinking what a telephone is. Because one of the things that VoIP phone systems allow you to do is you are now the point of contact, and what device you use to communicate on is irrelevant, because it doesn't have to be a telephone stuck on your desk anymore. And it doesn't have to be just your cell phone. It can be both. Or you could have no phones at all and just use a computer and a headset, because there are what are called soft phones. And so one of the things that, I'll give you an example. So with my company, one of we live in New England and we have winter every year, and we know it's coming every year. And I have employees that are live in Gloucester, live in New Hampshire, live south of the city. And for the longest time, we operated out of generally right off of 95 in either Rowley, Middleton, Beverly area, depending upon what year it was. But every year we knew that we were going to have some big storm, and that it was going to become unsafe for our employees to commute in and out of work. So one of the things we did was, in switching to the VoIP system, we were constantly looking for a way to make it more seamless, where our employees, if they had to work from home or it was unsafe to travel, could just plug in and be working from home just as if they were working in the office. And it turned out to be a critical change for us, because in addition to solving that problem, we also were able to take over another large franchise that was having some stability issues. And they were basically based out of Minnesota. And so they had a number of employees out there that were also, these were skilled, trained people. For us to retrain new employees to do the same things locally and take over their responsibilities would have been a huge burden, would have impacted on our customer base and the level of service that we're used to providing. And what we were able to do, because we were on a VoIP system, was provide them all with soft phones, plug them into our system, plug them into our software. And then even though we had, 10 employees in 2 different states, they were able to integrate with our workforce absolutely seamlessly, both to the customer and as a team internally. We are able to integrate them. And one of the things that our voice system allows us to do is we have not just a telephone system, but we have an internal instant messaging system that is broken into groups. There's a couple of different services like that, like Microsoft Teams and Slack. Ours is called Glip. And that allowed us to communicate not just across the entire workforce, but also the specific groups that were doing specific jobs. And that kind of stuff was key to keeping the workforce cohesive and keeping the work seamless to the customers from the outside. They're not seeing any of it. As far as they know, we're all sitting in the same office right next to each other. So, and one of the other things I wanted to say about the VoIP stuff also is that the communication tools can vary. One of the things that we can do with our system is that we can go, if we're working on a computer, which a lot of us do, and we need to go mobile for some reason, it's easy to just press a button and flip it to your mobile phone. So you can really be wherever you need to be. And then if I am outside of the office, I have total communication with my staff through my cell phone now, because that application runs there too. So the idea of where you can work, or keeping everything on a desk where you have to be there to be able to get access to any of your business information, is an outdated concept when you integrate the right tools to operate your business day to day. Now, a lot of that stuff I realize is not going to benefit a retail business. This is an office type business, and hopefully there's some uses like that. But what I do find with a lot of the retail and food service, sorry, I missed that slide. Anyway, this is what we use, and this is actually a picture of Glip, and you can see how it works on both pads, iPhones, Androids, computers. So wherever you need to work, whatever device you have, it already works on there, and you can bounce your communications seamlessly back and forth. So one of the things that I see with a lot of retail businesses, and particularly restaurants that don't have any kind of phone system, or just have that plain old telephone where it's a phone on the desk and it either rings or it doesn't, is queuing. And what a VoIP system allows you to do, in most of the VoIP systems anyway, allows you to build a phone tree where, depending upon your business model, what type of business, you can provide, phone menu driven information recordings, either where you're located, what your Facebook is, stuff like that. Or more importantly to this is the queue system, where people know that they're in a queue, that they're on hold, and that they're going to be served within a specific amount of time. So, and I'll give you a for instance on this one. A lot of the restaurants that I call into will have 1 or 2 people answering desk telephones. It's usually ringing off the hook. There's phones ringing in the background while they're trying to take orders. They're putting people on hold. They can't hear you. They have to take your credit card number 6 times. That doesn't have to be like that if you use the technology available to make it easier both for your employees and for your customers to take and receive orders. So if you have a queuing system, so there's 2 things like that. So one is, you with a VoIP system, you can assign multiple extensions. So instead of having a bunch of phones, you have people who are set up to be the ones that just answer calls and take orders. And so that way they come in an orderly way, where people waiting to submit an order know that they're going to be served in the next minute or two, they're third in line or whatever. The queuing system will give them comfort messages, and it allows for a more orderly processing of incoming orders. And I think people maybe think that this is something that only big companies have access to, or that it's incredibly expensive, but it's really not. It is, it's very affordable. And depending upon, what other things you have too, you need to look at it. There's a lot of different companies. I use a company called Ring Central. That is probably one of the most full featured, that has integration with both Zoom, like this technology. They have their own, but it's actually built in, so you can do video calling, you can have the team instant messaging, and then you can have the queuing, and you can have the different soft phone applications. But in terms of the queuing, I think that sometimes people think that it's either beyond them, that it's too technically complicated, too expensive. And I can tell you firsthand, a lot of these VoIP companies will help you set up your system the way that you need it to access your particular type of business, and will teach you how to configure it. And it's really not beyond anyone's ability. It is not difficult software to use. So if you have a business that, where you're having to work the inbound phones really heavily, that's something that is, my business has a lot of people calling in constantly, looking for quotes and booking shipments. So, they're comfortable knowing that they're going to be served next. They'll hang on. If they just got a busy signal, or we were putting people on hold, to be quite honest, they would go elsewhere, because they wouldn't wait around. But if they know that it's going to be a short wait, they'll stick around. So that's really one of the, upping your communications game, I think, is one of the single most important things you can do to help get through some of the challenges of the new normal. One of the other things that a VoIP system allows you to do, and not necessarily limited to a VoIP system, a lot of you business owners could be doing it now, depending upon how they set up their system. But, texting, and to be able to let people know that an order's ready, or that they can come pick something up. One of the things that we're going to need to start working on is keeping the contact between the customer and yourself at a bare minimum. And if there's something you can do to do that, it is more likely the customers are going to come and use your services, versus if I have to go into some other place and wait around in a room full of other people. I'll be honest, I'm going to skip it. But, given the option that I could go next door and that guy will text me when my thing's ready, and I can just come and pick it up at a window or a door or whatever, or bring it out to the car, I'm going to choose that service every time, particularly as the risks increase, and even after they decrease. Because I think what I'm finding is that a lot of people are starting to get used to that now. And that, I'm sorry to keep using the term new normal, but that's what it's going to become. And if you're not competing with the other people that are providing services that people want, you will come in second place. And I'm sure, in business, that's not the best place to be. Another aspect of, touchless is payment methods. And there's a lot of payment methods that I think people are overlooking. I mean, first off, if you have a merchant account and you haven't talked to your merchant company, or shop them for that matter, now is a really good time to find out what kind of touchless terminals they have. One of the things that I hate having to do, it's bad enough if I have to go to a business to go get something, but having to either hand my card over, or slide it into a terminal, or having to pick something up to punch in a key or anything like that, that's going to make me less likely to utilize your goods and services. I want a system where I can come in and not have to touch anything, There are touchless receivers. People can just touch their card. They can just swipe their card. There's some businesses in town that are great. They'll come out with their, square, and you can just swipe your own card. You don't have to touch anything. And then in terms of receipts, a lot of people are unaware that as of April 1st, 2018, you don't need to sign if you have a chip. If you're using a chip card, which I think it's like most of them now have been replaced, excuse me, you don't actually need to get that signature. And that is another touch point where you're having to physically interact with a customer where you don't need to. And that's something you can eliminate. Now, that's something, again, you may have to talk to your merchant company and make sure that, their whatever systems you're using are compliant with not needing a signature. But why wouldn't you? It's one more thing that you want to get out of the way where you don't have to interact. I don't want to touch your dirty pen that the last 30 people just touched. I can't tell you how often I go into a restaurant and have to sign something, and I'm thinking, boy, I'd just rather not do this. If I could just pick this up and go, I would be much more likely to purchase from them again. Hey, before I move on to this, does anybody have any questions so far? I know I'm just kind of rambling here and talking about stuff. Caitlin, anything? Bill, how about you?
We've had a few more people join us. Feel free to unmute yourselves if you have questions or comments you'd like to make so far.
Pam, Andrew, thanks for coming.
I don't have any questions, but I think this is so great, Frank. I'm so grateful you're doing this. And even though there's not a lot of folks on the call today, I have a very strong feeling that a lot of folks will be watching this webinar later.
Well, I hope so. And I hope it's helpful information. I want to tell you about something that I've used incredibly successfully. And I'm sure as business owners, we all recognize that credit card fees are taking or can take a huge slice of your profitability. And in a retail environment, it's hard not to offer it. You kind of have to. In some other situations, and particularly, I want to talk more in this case. This is more about non-retail businesses and retail shops that you can, and a lot of your merchant companies want to sell you on credit card services because that's where they make most of their money. But ACH services are becoming much more prevalent. The cost differential in processing payments between a credit card and an ACH are night and day. It's like 90-10. So first off, if it's a good idea to check with your existing merchant company to see if they have if they offer ACH processing. A lot of them do, some of them don't. There are also some standalone ACH processors, and I'll talk about one in particular in a minute. But a lot of this is if you can give your customers the option to pay by ACH, particularly if you're a small retail company and you want to be able to take prepayment and either do deliveries or pickups at the door, you can send people a hosted payment link. And that's whether it's credit card or ACH. And we do a ton of this with my business. And it's been a huge sea change for us. We do charge a processing fee for credit cards, but we offer free ACH transactions. And what the upshot of that has been is that a lot of people will, by default, prefer to use the ACH. So that may be costing us, instead of 3% of the entire amount of the transaction, I'm paying 10 cents a transaction plus a small monthly fee. So the difference in something like that in terms of profitability and profit margin are huge. So if you're not offering ACH to your customers, it's absolutely worth it to have it. And sometimes in certain situations or certain businesses, you can offer just the ACH and say, oh, well, well, I won't go into that. Everybody's got a different business model, so I don't want to tell you how to run your business, but this is a tool that is available. And you can send these links through email. You can send these links if you have payment notices or invoices. So with every one of my invoices that I send out manually to a customer, there will be a link right in it that they can just click. So as soon as they get their invoice, they can just click the link and make the payment right then and there. You know, it's a huge improvement to cash flow, and it's completely secure and it's convenient for the customer. And you're minimizing your cost of doing business, which I'm sure right now is probably something that we're all trying to look to do. So anyway, I really recommend it. There's a company also that I just started using called onlinecheckwriters.com. And after the call, I'll send Caitlin a list of links of some companies that I work with. First off, if I should say, if your merchant processor does not offer ACH, I use a company called paysimple.com. They're fantastic. You can tell them I sent you. And they offer both hosted credit card and ACH portals. And then Online Check Writer also offers, they don't offer credit cards. They do nothing but checks, but they allow you to actually email checks if you're sending payments out to customers. So instead of having to prepare physical checks and everything, it's kind of an amazing service. But they also offer an HTML hosted link to accept ACH payments directly to your bank account as well. Both of those companies are fabulous. They're great people that work there, and their services are fantastic. So something to really think about. This is the ACH portal that I was telling you about. This is the one that's provided by Online Check Writer, and it's this can be customized with you can brand it with your logo and everything like that. And it could not be more simple. You're really just entering your routing number and your account number and the amount and hitting send. It goes right to you, comes right into your account where it gets cleared out into your bank account from there. And then next, I want to talk about something that I think a lot of local retailers are completely overlooking. And as I'm seeing people shut down or fight to stay open, or, you know, hope that people are going to start coming back in the doors when a lot of people don't want to, is to move their systems to a point of sale system. And point of sale is almost a misnomer, because point of sale was traditionally, it was a retail operation. You know, I'm sure you've seen where you walk in and you can, you know, sign on the iPad or whatever. But there are, this should really be thought of more as a bridge between your brick and mortar physical location and your virtual location, because you're going to need one now. And allowing customers to shop after hours, when they're not working, when they're home, and then be able to either access your goods or services through a site where it's already paid is a big deal right now. That's something that anybody, you know, any retail operation can really just flip the switch on yesterday. And so in terms of a retail point of sale, you know, Shopify is, and I don't want to recommend, everybody's got a different model, a business model. Some systems are great for some business models, some systems are not. So it's something where, you know, you have to shop around for a model that fits your business model best. But just speaking broadly, you know, Shopify is a very good basic retail point of sale system that allows you to both have you know, you can use it in your brick and mortar business, but it also takes your inventory, puts it online, makes it accessible to your customers, where they can purchase stuff that's in your business that they couldn't walk in and look at. But then you can arrange to either, depending upon, again, your business model and your resources, you can do customer local delivery, you can do pickup at the door, and it's all prepaid. You know, they can shop and pay through this system. And then some of the systems can even integrate deliveries. And we'll talk about, you know, the ones for restaurants. And I need to confess that over the last 6 months or so, I have stopped going to a lot of restaurants unless I really love them, but I've stopped going to restaurants that don't offer an online order processing. Like I was talking about before, I don't want to deal with people screaming over the phones, taking my credit card information over the phone, having to be put on hold or hung up on or having to call back. There are restaurants now in town that have already switched to this system where I can log on, all my favorites are there. I click a couple of buttons, my payment method is saved. I click a button, it tells me it's going to get delivered, or it gives me a number where I can pick it up. I know I'm not alone because I talk to other people that feel the same way. It's getting to a point where it's just not worth it if I have the option to go to the business next door that does offer it. So just in terms of competition, this is now your competition. So if you're in food service and you're not offering online ordering, I assure you that at some point soon, you're going to get overtaken by the people that are, because it's safer and it's faster and it's easier. And, for restaurant services, something like, Toast, Food Tech, those are both great services. They can integrate with your business in a way that can make your order prep more efficient and faster. Maybe that means that you don't need as many employees to run your business. And I hate to say that, you're going to cut somebody, but in terms of operating a cash flow positive business, you're going to need to take every advantage of finding ways to save money and operate more efficiently at what may or may not be a reduced revenue stream. So if that's something that's going to increase your local efficiencies, then that's a tool that you're going to want to begin to integrate. And yes, there's a learning curve and it will take time. And I'll be honest, I'm concerned that this is the kind of stuff that should have been being implemented throughout the summer, so that you're ready by the end of the fall and the winter. But here we are in the fall and time's ticking. And, there's a lot of fantastic restaurateurs here in town, and I want to see them survive, and I don't want to see them shut down. And I hope that some of them will consider making some of these changes, because whether the pandemic disappears tomorrow or not, some of these things are not going to change. This is now, people are getting accustomed to these things, and a lot of people are not going to go backwards. And even if the risk is minimal at some point in the future, which would be great, I would love to sit in another restaurant and feel safe. But I think we all realize that that's probably going to take some time. I would like the option someday in the future to do either one. If I want to come and sit in your establishment and be served, great. But if I want to, I should go back to this, but if I also want to just order online and pick my stuff up and go, I should be able to do that as well. I get it. Not everybody wants to make those kind of changes. Everybody's going to have to decide for themselves, is this the end for me, or do I want to reimagine my business for the new future? And then one of the last bits of integration that everybody can do, and it's free, and so many businesses, I think, just completely overlook it, is the ability to manage your social media in a way that brings in more customers. And one of the things I find that people do with social media is that they don't engage their customers to follow them. The most sure way of getting a second sale is marketing to somebody who's already bought from you. And if you can get people to follow your page, or follow you on Twitter, or follow your Instagram, different business models are going to have different audiences, and you need to know what your social media audience is for your business, right? A lot of people, the Facebook is going to cover a lot of it. Some people, if they're artists and stuff, Instagram might be a better medium for you. And determining that is, kind of up to you. You know your business better than anyone else. But utilizing it in a way that is keeping your customers sticky, right? You want them to keep in your sphere of influence so that when you have new products, when you have new services, when you have items on sale, when you're trying to move out old inventory, your existing customer base is your single best marketing tool, right? So if you have those people following your business on social media, that's your direct connection to them. And not only that, but it also allows those people to advocate for you, and don't be afraid to ask your customers to share your posts, because that's how you're going to grow your audience. And having a large audience to market your products to is never a bad thing. So it's worth it. Take the time, make sure that your Facebook, that your hours are up to date, that your location is correct, that the ability to contact you or message you, that works, that people can feel confident that they can reach you that way. I know for me, if I don't have to use the telephone, I won't. I'll message a business on Facebook I'm more likely to use a business that responds to me on Facebook, because I don't have to figure out what their phone number is or look anything up. I just have to press a button and say, hey, do you do this or that? And, sometime during the day, I get a response. It's great. That's all I need to know. So, I know for me, I use a lot of businesses that will work with me through Facebook and that I will follow, and I will use their services again. So, and last thing before I forget, I don't know why more people don't do this. Maybe they think it's too complicated or expensive or whatever, but the boosted and targeted ads in Facebook, it's inexpensive, it's easy, it's effective. And if you're not marketing your business, paid marketing on social media, you are missing out on probably what is your best, cheapest advertising method to reach more customers in a very specific area. If you're marketing across the country, that's maybe not your best way to go. But if you're marketing to just people here in town, it's your single best way to target them. Half this town's on Facebook. Anyway, the paid ads, they work. It's worth the investment, and it's so cheap. So anyway, I don't want to run on too much longer, but I just want to make the point that whether it's communications or payment methods or utilizing more cloud tools or point of sale or delivery or any of the changes that you could make to work more efficiently in what will be the new age, if it disappears tomorrow, it doesn't matter. None of these things are going to hurt your of how things turn out over the next 6 months to couple of years. Let's hope. All of these things, all these changes can impact your business in a positive way, no matter what happens next. If the virus disappears tomorrow and you've made some of these changes, your business is going to improve. If the virus sticks around and you've made some of these changes, then really no downside to looking into and investing in some of these tools to make it easier for your customers to buy and sell from you, and to not have to work with you physically. It's all about safety and efficiency. So anyway, I think that's probably everything. There's a million things I could talk about, like on each subject for like an hour, but I'm not going to do that to you. Hopefully, this has got you thinking about some new things and some new ways, and hopefully there's some practical application on some of the stuff that I have suggested today that can impact you and your business in a positive way. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Caitlin.
Frank, that was amazing. I think you gave some really good information and gave business owners a lot to think about I completely agree that even once this pandemic is over, a lot of customers do not want to go back to the way that it was before. They want to be able to move forward and use some of this new technology. I was also laughing a few times. You sounded so much like a millennial when you talked about not wanting to make phone calls and call people, because I feel the exact same way. I would much rather make appointments and shop and do all those things online rather than do a phone call or call with a reservation. So I do think that's the way all businesses should be moving and should be considering those things. So thank you for that presentation. We really appreciate it. And I certainly hope that our businesses will watch this, will take some of those things into consideration, do some research and figure out how you can improve your businesses, be able to move forward and stay in business.
My pleasure. You're having a little trouble with your audio, by the way. I don't know if it's just me or I think, but anyway, Bill, Pam, Andrew, any questions before I go?
No, again, just thanks so much, Frank and Caitlin and Angela and the mayor, the whole BEAT team. I got to jump to another call myself. So thanks again. Thanks a million.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for being here today. Caitlin, thanks for the invite. And if there's anything else I can do for you guys, I'm happy to come back and speak again on whatever you'd like.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.